Most of the men and women who perform the services at Planned Parenthood are very well-meaning people, and they shouldn't be attacked because of a few that haven't done the right thing. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Louisiana rise?
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I've been a practicing physician for over 35 years. I've delivered hundreds of babies. And you know, our president once said, when asked, when does life begin, he said, that's above my pay grade. Well, I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, it's not above my pay grade. And I can tell you, as a scientist and as a physician, that life begins at conception. And that's often forgotten in this chamber right here. Abortion violates the very tenets, the central tenets of our culture, and that is the killing of innocent life. But here's something else that you don't hear much in this chamber here today. How is it that human beings, how is it that Americans can decide to kill an innocent human life? And the way we do it is through dehumanization. That is, we think of that unborn baby to be something inanimate or just a part of the body. I've seen people get more upset about a dying pet than they have in giving up their pregnancy for abortion. So I say to you, Mr. Chairman, here today that I rise in support of the Pence Amendment. Yes, of course, money is fungible. Money goes in one end and then into another account and then on elsewhere. So anything that taxpayers do in terms of giving money to Planned Parenthood is subsidizing abortions. And we know that the American people, by a small margin and a growing margin, oppose abortion in general, but a wide margin of Americans oppose taxpayer funding of abortion. And with that, I would like to yield the rest of my time to the gentleman from Iowa.
The gentleman from Louisiana for addressing the House and yielding to me and all of those who have spoken on this issue. I recall back here on this floor in the early part of the session in 2007 when the Mexico City vote came up. And I remember that debate here on this floor. I remember watching the vote go up on the board, the language that would compel American taxpayers to fund abortion in foreign lands. And for the first time in years, the Democrats lost the debate but won the vote. And I saw members over on this side of the floor jumping up and down, hugging themselves, cheering. Cheering because what? Because you had taken a step to compel Americans who are conscientiously objecting taxpayers to fund abortions in foreign lands. How could anyone cheer something like that? What was the moral standard that brought about such elation? It's a complete confusion to me to think that we can't even describe what this is. I brought some posters to the floor of the House Judiciary Committee last week that showed what dilation and evacuation is. It's dismemberment abortion. I don't know if there's anybody in this chamber that could actually witness a real abortion and stand there, let alone lend their hand to such a thing. But I remember buying the movie Silent Scream for my children when they were about 9, 10, and 11 years old, and sitting on the floor in the living room and watching 8 minutes of parts of babies be put in a stainless steel pan and having an inventory done of a little foot, a little arm, a little leg, a little torso, a little crushed skull, until all the things added up, and then they sucked out the places that were missed. That's what's going on. And we're asking Americans fund this through Planned Parenthood or any other organization. Here's where I'd agree with Mr. Cohen. I'd go further than this. And he made the point, I know he wouldn't agree. I would say no funds should go to any entity that could perform such a ghastly, ghoulish, and gruesome procedure. And this House cannot compel American taxpayers to do so. And we will stand tonight and we'll put an end to the federal funding of Planned Parenthood, and we'll move on. And we'll shut off all of the funding to those entities that do that to unborn children in this country. Thank you, and I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say in conclusion to my remarks, and I thank the gentleman from Iowa, that tonight we're all getting tired. We've debated for 3 days and 3 nights. But in that same period of time, think about the number of babies who've been killed through abortion, through a sterile area where a doctor goes in and we have the usual instruments and so forth, and the fetus sucked out of the womb, and then the mom on with her life. But we also know that statistics tell us that these mothers don't just go on with their lives, as has been suggested by the other side. The rate of depression, the rate of suicide, the rate of problems with future pregnancies, they increase dramatically after abortion. So tonight should be the beginning of the ending of this horrible practice, and with that, I yield back to the chair.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Florida rise?
Strike the last word, Mr. Chair.
Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We were hired by our neighbors and our hometowns to come up to Washington and fight for jobs.